the United States has deployed a war fleet along the coast of Venezuela. I think it's important to understand the context of this, because it is no coincidence that just before, something like a month before, the Department of Justice of the United States increased the bounty on President Maduro from 25 million to 50 million. And after that, we're talking about in the last 2 weeks, Venezuelan security forces discovered thousands and thousands of explosives, detonators, rifles, machine guns, etc., in secret hideouts in at least key 5 cities. The government said that the key person who is organizing this is Maria Corina Machado, in cahoots with the United States. And then all of this is followed by the US deployment of the war fleet, which I think was there to be ready to assist a domestically generated armed insurrection. Worse than that, traditional US warmongering and intimidation by mobilizing troops and so on has evolved into a very threatening thing. Because not only there is this war fleet, but these include warships, US warships that have 1,200 missiles that can be fired, in any direction. It can reach very faraway places, and a nuclear submarine. So the argument is that Venezuela is a narco state, which is completely false in a total fabrication. 87% of the cocaine which is produced in Colombia and partly in Ecuador gets to the United States through the Pacific Ocean. And this is the information from the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, which produces a report every year. And they, I've made this point not only this year, but in many years before. And only 5% goes to the Caribbean Sea. And that 5% tries to use Venezuela as a transit, and the Venezuelans are very effective at actually fighting and seizing drugs and capturing people. The Cartel de los Soles, which Trump and Rubio are saying that is run by Maduro and the Venezuelan government, does not exist. There is no evidence whatsoever. Information from the United Nations on drug and crime have indicated in the last 30 years, and also this is the case with report from the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Cartel de los Soles is never mentioned, ever. Only politically in statements by the government. So it doesn't exist, it's false, there is no information whatever. And the Cartel de Sinaloa, which the government now, Trump government, is still claiming that works with Venezuela, President Sheinbaum from Mexico said this is not true. We have no information and no investigation and no intelligence whatsoever that there is any connection between the Cartel de Sinaloa and the government of Venezuela. So as a consequence of the deployment of this very threatening US war fleet along the coast of Venezuela, there was a very strong reaction from Latin America. Not only Mexico's president condemned it, but also Brazil has expressed deep concern. There is also President Petro from Colombia, who has been extremely active on this, and he called an emergency select meeting, the Commonwealth of Latin American and Caribbean states, to reject the deployment of this thing. And then Petro said publicly that the Cartel de los Soles was a device in order for the United States to intervene in countries that of government doesn't like, to bring about regime change. The select meeting made it very clear that deployment of the US fleet is a violation of Latin America, which it is a zone of peace. It is also a violation of the decision of all the Latin American states to be a nuclear-free zone. This is particularly worrying because of the nuclear submarine And Venezuela has demanded that the fleet is withdrawn completely. Venezuela has engaged in massive mobilization to defend itself, and this has been extraordinarily positive. There is already a people's militia of 5 million people, and there's been a massive recruitment of people to the militia in 1,500 recruitment centers throughout the country, across Venezuela, which is amazing. It's been public in all the public squares. So what we want to say very strongly is that we want no war on Venezuela, no US war on Venezuela. There are several reasons. Number one, obviously, we don't want Venezuela to be attacked, and Venezuela doesn't want to be attacked, and we don't want any war in our continent. But also, all these strategy or tactics which the United States are using can be used against any Latin American country whose government the United States doesn't like. And the United States doesn't like almost any government in Latin America and in many other places in the world. But now the intimidation has moved further because a small boat has been blown up. That's the claim by the United States, saying that, it was sort of carrying drugs with the destination of the United States, which is totally ridiculous. And the reason why it's ridiculous is because this is a very small boat. And according to the calculation of experts, the boat, in order to reach to the United States from where it was blown up, which was very close or near the coast of Venezuela, in international waters, would have required to stop 18 times to refuel in order to be able to make it to the United States. The other question everybody's asking is, why not capture the boat? Why not take it? Why not, arrest these people? Why not seize the cocaine they were supposed to be carrying and then show it in a big media circus, their success? It's clearly the case that this is not true. God knows what boat they blew up. The United States fleet intends to be in the Caribbean Sea for months now. And Marco Rubio just stated that the United States has warned that the United States may again attack vessels allegedly used for drug trafficking in those waters. So nobody's safe. So what we are demanding ourselves from the Venezuela Solidarity Campaign is that we urge all governments and political actors internationally to join us, and we include the UK government, in opposing any threat of military intervention in the region as a violation of the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter. And this is also a threat to peace and stability in the region. So support us with everything you have. This is extremely dangerous, and we have to stop it. Thank you very much.